at exactly 2:37 a.m. A thunderclap wasn't heard in the sky, but across military radio dot channels. A massive fireball lit up the night over western Russia. A fuel train 600,000 liters strong erupted into a wall of fire, collapsing bridges, derailing tankers, and vaporizing a key lifeline in Russia's war logistics. But here's the twist. This wasn't an accident. It was a coordinated strike, deep inside Russian territory. And in that moment, the war crossed a line. What exploded wasn't just fuel, it was a signal. This is the story of how Russia's largest military fuel shipment was destroyed in seconds, and why it may have changed the entire trajectory of the conflict in Ukraine. Chapter 1: The Target, Russia's Fuel Lifeline. Let's start with what was at stake. In war, fuel is life. Armored columns don't move, jets don't fly, and artillery doesn't fire without diesel, jet fuel, and lubricants. This particular train, codenamed Convoy 47 by NATO analysts, was carrying over 600,000 liters of fuel, including high-octane aviation fuel for Sukhoi jets, diesel for mobile rocket systems, and specialized oils for winter warfare tanks. It was en route to Bryansk Oblast, a key staging ground near the Ukrainian border, responsible for supporting operations in both Donbass and northern Ukraine. Its destruction would be catastrophic to Russian frontline logistics. Chapter 2: The Strike, how it happened at 2:37 a.m. The convoy crossed the Kluchevsky Railway Junction, an area known for bottlenecks and outdated Soviet-era rail systems. What happened next was surgical explosions erupted beneath the tracks. Military-grade shaped charges, likely magnetically, attached or embedded beneath the rails. The front engine was blown skyward. Tankers carrying aviation fuel burst, creating domino explosions. The fireball reached 150 meters high, visible on satellite within minutes. But here's what shocked intelligence analysts: the timing hit the precise midpoint of the train. The first responders were jammed electronically, and recovery drones were blinded by EMP flashes. This wasn't partisan sabotage. This was a tactical, electronic, coordinated military strike. Chapter 3: Who did it officially? The Kremlin blamed Ukrainian saboteurs, but multiple signs suggest a deeper story: the precision of the strike. The disruption of electronic comes the use of NATO-style jamming tech. All suggest the hand of Western-trained special forces, possibly operating inside Russia or via high-altitude drone deployment. Three possibilities: Ukrainian SBU Alpha Group, Ukraine's elite counter-sabotage unit, known for deep cover .1. operations. NATO's supported strike via proxy, likely involving Polish or Baltic intelligence operatives. To internal Russian dissidents, anti-war elements within Russia's own FSB or military. 3. Infrastructure. Regardless of who pulled the trigger, the message was loud: nowhere is safe. Chapter 4: The explosion's aftermath. The blast crippled a 60-kilometer stretch of critical rail. Firefighters fought the flames for 11 hours. It took engines, 28 helicopters, 3 and 2 military-grade foam bombers to contain the blaze. But the worst damage wasn't visible. Satellite imagery showed destroyed overhead lines that fed electric. Trains warped rails, some melted from the sheer heat, and scattered blackened tankers. Still smoldering 48 hours later, the blast created a logistics blackout. Supplies to the Bryansk front were halted for 4 days, enough to stall multiple offensives. Chapter 5: Kremlin in crisis. Putin's initial response: silence. Then came blame. Russian state media accused Ukraine of terrorism. But behind the scenes, FSB internal documents leaked showing panic. Fuel reserves in Belgorod and Kursk were rerouted. Convoy patterns were immediately changed. Entire rail hubs in western Russia were put on alert. Even worse, loyalist militias began refusing to travel on fuel convoys, fearing similar strikes. And generals, they started demanding air escorts for trains, a logistical nightmare that slowed down all operations. Chapter 6: Why this matters now. The timing wasn't random. The strike happened right before a planned Russian spring offensive, targeting Kharkiv and Donetsk. That offensive delayed and while Russia scrambled to recover. Ukraine launched counterstrikes across Zaporizhia, gaining ground and reclaiming territory. In war, seconds matter, and this explosion reset the clock. One Western general called it the most successful logistics strike since World War II, greater than. Chapter 7: Deep State vs. Wagner. Here's where the conspiracy gets dark. Some Russian insiders suggest the strike wasn't Ukrainian at all but internal, because the train carried Wagner-linked oil and Wagner, Russia's now fractured mercenary empire, has been in open conflict with the Kremlin since the Prigozhin rebellion. Could this have been a deep state warning, a way to sabotage Wagner's last hold on supply chains? Evidence Telegram posts from ex-Wagner channels celebrating the strike, FSB reports redacting the train's ownership, and intercepted Russian audio revealing tension among fuel depot commanders. If true, then Russia is bleeding from within. Chapter 8: Global Consequences. This wasn't just a military event, it was a geopolitical signal. Fuel prices across Europe briefly spiked, NATO supply chains were placed on high alert, and global shipping insurers raised risk premiums for Russian cargo. It also redefined the war, because for the first time, a strategic target deep inside Russia was destroyed. With no warning, no claim of responsibility, no safe harbor, it told the world, this war has no borders anymore. Chapter 9: What's next? Russian generals have called for hardened convoys with armored railcars, AI-powered surveillance drones over railway lines, rail escorts with fighter jet overwatch. But logistics analysts are skeptical. Russia's rail system, built in the 1960s, can't be protected everywhere. The country is too vast. There are too many trains. The routes were too exposed. Meanwhile, Ukraine is doubling down on asymmetrical tactics. A single drone, a rail heist. A sabotage team on foot can now cripple entire fronts. The future of this war won't be won by tanks, it will be won by targeting what fuels the Chapter 10 drones in the night. How Ukraine gained access. Ukrainian military intelligence, specifically the Kabul 9 Special Unit, coordinated with SBUs, Alpha, the Next Communications Unit, and the Southern Task Force to carry out this strike. They launched loitering kamikaze drones, programmed to wait beneath flight radars before detonating directly into the locomotive's battery compartment, instantly disabling the engine and isolating the train mid-route. This is the evolution of 21st century warfare, and it's happening in real time.